This year our theme is community service, and the children and the adults in our community are so blessed and lucky to have access to so many important things, fundamental needs, education, food, water, warmth, shelter, all of these essential things. And we want to focus on the fact that we have it in us to extend that access to more people and even each other. And we want to make efforts within our community, inside our classrooms, inside our buildings, and across campus as well, to share the things that we have with each other. For example, I would love to have the upper elementary children work with the primary children and just have them read to them, because they have it in them to read and bring books to life, and hopefully they can inspire the young ones to develop the skill and a love for reading. So that's one structured way that I hope to foster community service. And there are also some spontaneous ways we want to nurture community service.
When you look up the word service in the dictionary, it says to help others. Right? And sometimes I wonder what stops us from serving. There might be barriers. And so one thought is that when you can't meet your own needs, or there's something going inside of you that prevents you from reaching out, right? Discovering that and empowering those aspects of yourself can also open up doors for you to be able to reach out to other people. And I think that really ties into Montessori's idea of peace, which was that it means creating conditions in which every individual gets to thrive. They feel they're thriving, right? And so a big part of service is to highlight the spontaneous work that's happening, as well as the social and emotional work that's happening in the classroom, where a child is being brave and being honest in a moment when it's so scary for them to do that. They're serving themselves and their development, and in doing so, they're serving others around them too. So that's another way in which we're trying to capture that this year.
So beautifully said, and it reminds me of our classroom last year and how much growth we had in the sense of community and the sense of belonging by the end of the year, even by mid-year. During our one-on-one conferences with kids, I remember asking them, well, who would you prefer to sit with at lunch? Who are some of your closest friends? And at the beginning, they had a very rigid, very clear idea of who their closest friends were. And by the middle of the year, they wanted to sit with everybody as a whole community for lunch. I think that shows how much they were able to grow, to feel a connection with all of the peers. So that took a lot of scaffolding in our group discussions, in our circle meetings, where we were able to talk about what is belonging, how do we want to feel when we're in the classroom, and how do we cultivate this meaningfulness within our community so that everybody feels like they can be themselves and that they can shine and feel respected by every member of their community, and also be recognizing that in others. So we end the day with a gratitude circle, and it's an opportunity for people to share anonymously acts of kindness, acts of service, things that people were doing to uplift others just by lending a helping hand and recognizing a need or a problem and highlighting that in that moment at the end of the day.
And I think in your example, there was something really beautiful I noticed, which is service is not something that's we have to forcefully bring, right? Discipline, ability to be kind, in the Montessori world are just human tendencies, they're human potentials that already exist. And so it's really about creating the environment in which they can tap into those aspects of themselves. And then from that, they can go out into the world, into their own communities or beyond that. And I think a lot of the scaffolding that Aaron talked about was creating that space. Yeah.
I think service is inherent in the elementary child because they are social. They're gregarious. They want to find their place in the community and also in the broader world. And through their going out and exposing them to the broader community is another way for them to experience what others are doing to help in the world. And we're just giving them the keys for exploration, and then they're internalizing it and finding how they can contribute to others.
A few questions that we are going to be keeping in mind are, how can we help the child recognize a need? And also keeping in mind that just because you can help does not always mean you should, because the person or people or community that you want to be sharing with or contributing to also has a say. Will it really benefit them? And if the answer is yes from that community, then you may have something wonderful, because it's always an exchange. So I think that's the difference between true community service and solicitation.
Yes, and again, what you're highlighting is the idea that, does the community feel, or the person who is in front of you feel, that this interaction is going to help them thrive?
Yeah.
They get to decide that.